What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about ASEI project setup. First thing that we're going to want to do is jump into our email and start looking over the information that's been provided to us for our particular project. Typically that information comes from the administration here at ASEI, but occasionally you will get that information straight from the architect themselves. That information usually includes DWG files for AutoCAD, Revit if you're working in a Revit project, PDFs of some of the architect's notes or work, occasionally work letters, and information that you'll need in order to set up and start creating your project. So in the case of this particular training video, we are working with this archive zip file here that contains all of the background information we'll need for this project setup. And you'll see that in the email, typically when this comes from the administration, they will provide you an ASEI job number. If it comes from the architect, you may need to reference with the administration in order to find your job number. So when we number our jobs for ASEI, we typically start with the year the project was started, so in this case 2018, and then the 4 following digits are going to be the actual job number for the project itself. So what we're going to want to do is save this file down. All the ASEI job folders can be found in the G drive under the associated year. So in this case 2018, we find our associated job folder. And you can see in here we have several subfolders created for different functions throughout the project. In this case, we're only focusing on the A folder, or the architectural folder for now, as that is where we're going to be dropping our backgrounds. And when we jump in here, you can see we have an additional subfolder already created for 2018. That's because occasionally when a project is started, some things may come up, delays, rescheduling, that kind of thing. And sometimes you may start a project in one year and finish it in another. And we just want to make sure that our information is properly documented as far as timelines for when project's information was received and completed, that kind of thing as well. So as we're still in 2018, we're going to start with that. And we'll create a folder for today's date to log when this information was actually dropped into the folder. So today's date is March 30th, 2018. And we're going to go ahead and name this folder as well with the information that we're dropping in, which in this case is the backgrounds. Save that down real quick. And then one last additional step when it comes to dropping in these files is we're going to go to our G drive, 2018, our job folder, and we want to we just want to extract our zip files and get rid of anything of the extra file that's created, so that we're not taking up additional unnecessary room on our server. One thing to be in a good habit of is just checking your pathing for your extracted files. Most of the time they will come up automatically dropping into the folder you started from. It's just good to be in the habit of checking. So you can see we have the 03-3018, and that's the folder we're in as well. So we can extract that. That pops up this folder, and we have an additional compressed file in here. We're going to go ahead and extract that as well. It's going to our same folder. There we go. Let's make sure we don't got any additional compressed files real quick. Everything looks good. This can go away. And then, like I said earlier, we are getting rid of the zip file so that we're not taking up additional room on our server with duplicate information. And that is how we drop the information in from the emails to our job folders. All right, guys, so now that we have our DWG files dropped into our A folder of our project, we can start it on our actual extra setup so we can start working on our project. Starting in our File Explorer, we go to our job folder, and we're going to jump into the files that were sent over to us. So you can see in here there's a couple things that we want to look for. We have a title block that we're going to be using on each sheet of our project, a roof plan, a floor plan, and a site plan. These other plans here, the slab plan, elevations, and sections, those are not necessary to our design component, but they are good information to have for when we're working on the exterior parts of the project, or if we have a question about this particular section of the area. Slab plan, not so much, not as necessary. So there is one other file type that will occasionally be sent over with these types of projects, which is the reflected ceiling plan, or RCP. that is going to be, in a project like this, more than likely what's happening is this floor plan that was given to us probably already also has the RCP in it, and the architect is just wanting us to freeze the elements that we don't need on those particular sheets. So on the sheets that show lighting components that require a reflected ceiling plan, we would freeze the floor elements, and vice versa. On the power plans or anything involving the floor plan, we would freeze the reflected ceiling plan elements. So we'll go ahead and start with the title block here. This is the easiest component to set up. And the first thing that you want to do before you do any editing on any of these sheets is you want to create a save as, so that we're not doing any editing to any original files that have been sent over to us. So when we do our save as, we want to actually move this file to our XREF folder down here. It's a dedicated folder for the XREFs we need for each of these projects. Then when we name these new files, we like to drop the job number associated with this project in for a couple reasons. One, just for it makes it easier to know what project you're working on. It's easier to find the job number, but also so that we know we're not editing any original files when we're just kind of like glancing through. We don't need to worry about it because we can see our job number is thrown in at the front end of that file name. So in this case, we have the 18xxxx. We'll do space dash space and keep the original file name. That way, if there's any background updates or anything of that nature, or if there's any XREFs referencing other XREFs, we have all the same file names and it keeps continuity a lot easier. Go ahead and save that down. Then I like to do a zoom extents, make sure that we just have everything in screen. Open up my layers menu and make sure that everything is unfrozen and everything is turned on. You can see that we already have all that taken care of on this sheet, so there's nothing else for us to really do. One other thing that we do like to do on these sheets is we have a preliminary stamp that we'll drop on. We also have mechanical and electrical stamps, but we don't like to show those on the sheets until we start moving towards the final leg of this project and you have approval from your registered engineer to get that stamp onto the sheet. So we'll go ahead and throw this preliminary stamp on here. This is a ArchiCon project, so while there isn't like a specified location for this on the sheet, from working on ArchiCon projects, I know that this is supposed to go in this area, but occasionally you'll see on your title block a specified section for those types of elements for this project. And then, yeah, there's nothing else for us to really do on this one, so we can go ahead and save that and close that down and move on to our next file. I typically like to work through the roof plan and floor plan before I start working on the site plan. Reason being, occasionally that site plan will be referencing something, another one of these XREFs, perhaps the roof plan or the floor plan, and working through those and creating those XREFs first just makes setting up for the site plan a little bit easier. So, so we'll start with this roof plan over here. And again, starting with the important element of doing a save as before doing any editing. Go to the 18 folder, XREF, and rename our file with the job number first. Here we go. So now I do my zoom extents. You can see there's probably some hidden elements in there because it's not focusing straight on our drawing. Go ahead and check our layers. We've got a couple frozens. I like to just highlight everything, make sure everything is shifting over in case there's, for whatever reason, there's an element that we missed. And you can see all the layers are already turned on. So we can go ahead and get out of this. Yep, and you can see we've got a component over here that is sitting outside of the building space that we're gonna be working in. So we don't actually need this right now, so we can go ahead and get rid of that. And I erase it just because we have the original base file, so if there is any need to retrieve that information, we still have it in our A folder. Then you can see when I do the zoom extents, it still has some kind of floating component over here. So what I like to do to get rid of that is Control A and then just deselect the building that we're working on, hit erase, and that gets rid of that component there. So you can see that this is labeled a roof plan, but we do have elements of the reflected ceiling in here. That's just what I was referring to earlier with the architect occasionally just including more information than necessary, kind of depending on you to freeze the elements that you don't need for your particular design. So now that we have the background cleaned up a little bit more, what we're going to want to do is there's a couple commands that we have here at ASEI that we like to use to make our drawings a little bit more legible when we're actually showing our drafting. So we have cfix and set by layer. CFix is going to force all of your layers to color type 8, which is just a grayscale color that allows our drafting to pop out a little bit more on top of those sheets and cause the drawings to be a little bit less confusing. So we'll start with that. We got CFix, and it will automatically force all those colors, but you can see that not everything moved over, and that's because some of those line types and layers are set to a different layer, a different color setting other than by layer. So that's why we have the follow-up command of set by layer. On our toolbar, we actually do have a quick button for it, so we'll click that real quick, and it sets everything to color 8. One additional command that we do like to do as well is a purge and audit, just to make sure that any lines or additional information that was included by the architect isn't being kept in our file as well, and kind of creating a larger file size than we might need for our sheets, just helping us save some room on the server as well. So now that we've done the CFix, the set by layer, the purge, and the audit, we can go ahead and save this, and this file is ready to go. Then moving on to our floor plan. Again, starting with the save as in our job folder in the XREFs. And then we can start making the edits that we need to do. So zoom extents, and again, jumping into the layers command and finding any frozen and turned off layers. There we go. Now that everything is unfrozen and turned on, getting rid of the components that are outside of our building. This is actually part of our building, so we're going to leave that. And we still have that floating component, so we'll do Control A and deselect the section that we're working on and get rid of that piece that we don't need. Again, this has components of the floor plan. You can see here we've got tables and chairs, but we also have components of the roof plan with these ceiling fans, mechanical ducts, and electrical lighting. So like I said earlier, that's just the architect is depending on you to freeze the elements that you might not need for your project. So again, going to the CFix command, CFIX, and we once more we did not have everything force over, so that's why we have this set by layer command. And I like to do a save between the set by layer and the purge and audit, because the purge and audit can sometimes slow your computer down. So we'll throw those in. And after the purge and audit, that is set up. So moving on to the next file that we have, which, like I said earlier, we don't need to create an XREF for these sections or elevations. We're not going to be showing any of that information on our sheets anyways. So we're going to jump straight into this site plan here. And again, first things first, save it down in the XREF folder. And then we can start working on anything else we need to complete. So we've got some unreconciled layers in this file. I just like to make sure everything is reconciled before I do anything else. It's just something to knock out real quick. Close that real quick. Then I do the zoom extents. We'll jump back into the layer menu and make sure everything's turned on and unfrozen. Got a bunch of stuff frozen, so we'll turn that back on. Looks like all of our layers are on as well. Cool. So starting with the CFix, and then following up with the set by layer. And you can see that there are a couple components that still didn't shift over, and that's just because this file is still referencing, it has an XREF over here that is still referencing the original file that we did a save as from. So if you click on the XREF and you go down to the details section here, you can find the saved path. If you click this little elliptical, it will pull up the save path for these projects, and you can go to the new file that you created. So in this case, this is the roof plan. This is our new roof plan that we created over here. We'll double click that, and you can see it brought in everything that we needed. We got some more unreconciled layers. Go ahead and take care of that real quick. And Looks like that's that. We'll do a save before we do our purge audit. And that's how you set up XREFs at ASEI.